Welcome back into Grand Slam Sports. As always, my name is Jay Saunch. Alongside me, Charles Foster, Jackson Strasburger over at the desk. Guys, we begin today's conversation talking about the Super Bowl in just about a week or so's time. The Seahawks, the Patriots, in a Super Bowl rematch. Drake May has led the Patriots back to maybe the promised land if they can take down Seattle. But the Seahawks defense has proven to be one of the top defenses we have ever seen.
The worst Super Bowl imaginable for me as a Jets fan. Seeing Sam Darnold go off on another team, and then seeing the Patriots back after they had like the SpongeBob road of misery, where it's just and it goes back down. Like there was no struggle for the Patriots. They're back, and these two teams, they look amazing. It's been very fun to watch, and I'm very happy, as a Jets fan for real, seeing Sam Darnold play the way that he was supposed to. At USC, we knew that he was going to be a good quarterback, but maybe not Super Bowl good. But I think a lot of the big change for me has been with Mike Macdonald. I think he has been that revolutionary coach that Seattle needed. They were on the brink. They get rid of DK. They bring in Mike Macdonald, and this team has just looked phenomenal. And I cannot wait to see how they play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this Seahawks offense, I think, has really flipped it around. We talked about a few years ago, they were struggling. One of the worst teams in the league with one of the worst offenses in the league. And then JSN comes in, he figures it out. He was a good wide receiver, and now he's a great, one of the best. And I think that's Cooper Kupp's leadership in the locker room, but this offense has now turned into one of the best we've seen, especially in the playoffs, when Sam Darnold is going 470 yards, no picks, 4 touchdowns, and he didn't even play the whole game against the Niners with an injury. So this team definitely has I think this defense behind him as well. The Seahawks team is just miles better than the Patriots, I feel like.
You look at the Seahawks and their defense right now. I have a stat here, 34%. That's the opponent's success rate on designed runs. The Seahawks defense, their D line with Marcus Lawrence has been phenomenal. Their cornerbacks, their DB room with Tariq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, Julian Love, even Nick Eamon-Warry. The rookie safety has been very good, has been phenomenal. This defense is playing its best football right now. For the Patriots, how do you get around what Seattle is doing defensively right now?
And we talked about how you talk about some of the moves that Seattle has made. It's been those kind of smaller moves, DeMarcus Lawrence, bringing in Leonard Williams, and bringing in those smaller players that weren't necessarily the top of the trade deadline or top of free agency, but they just built a beautiful team together. If you're the Patriots here, you have a solid roster of your own. This Patriots team, they made a very aggressive offseason. They brought in a lot of players that they needed to bring in. They spent a lot of money. I'm pretty sure they spent the most money in the offseason last year, bringing in Mike Vrabel, who has been phenomenal. If you're going to beat this team, you need to beat them through the air. Running's not going to work. And I think that is the biggest thing, is can they beat them through the air? You have Drake May at quarterback. He's a young quarterback. He's never been at this stage before. Can he get some good passes in through the air? Can he get himself some good plays, because that's going to be the only way you're going to beat Seattle with this run defense.
And something to look at, I think the Patriots are a very good team, and do they deserve to be here? Yes. But have they had one of the easiest roads to get to the Super Bowl ever? Also, yes. Doesn't mean they don't deserve to be here competing at this high level, but they haven't played a team like the Seahawks. They haven't played a difficult team and won. Every hard game they had, except for one against the Bills, they've lost, and that's kind of why they sit where they are right now. A lot of, like when they played Josh Allen C.J. Stroud in the Texans, which is probably their best competition in the playoffs, he had 4 turnovers. So it's a lot of making mistakes, or the other teams are making mistakes, and the Patriots have just walked up to it. I don't think they're going to be able to really compete against this defense. It'll have to be through the air, and they've struggled. Diggs has 11 catches and 73 yards, and he's supposed to be your wide receiver 1.
Obviously, Jackson, you mentioned turnovers. To me, I wrote a concern for both teams, and both teams I wrote turnovers. They both have problems in that category. Obviously, we can dive deeper into this conversation next week. Super Bowl is still a week or so away. And for the Patriots, a first-year head coach and Mike Vrabel leading the Super Bowl. Charles, I know you have 5 upcoming first-year head coaches that we can talk about.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of coaching hires. I think coaching is one of the things that really, builds a team. You can't be a good team without a good coach. And we're going to take a look right here at my top 5 favorite hires. At number 5, I have Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh was solid for the Jets. I don't think he was a big part of the problem. We've seen it now with the Jets moving on from him, and they still suck. And for him to go into the Titans, as well as bringing in Brian Daboll, I think this is a team that has built a solid coaching staff around Cam Ward. I like the move for Robert Saleh.
Yeah, I think they definitely have trust in their offense. Robert Saleh being the defensive-minded, they look to fix the defense first. Cam Ward is a great piece. Cameron DK is a great piece. They just have to find a couple little holes, but their biggest area was the defense for the Titans, and I feel like Robert Saleh fixes that perfectly.
Looking at number 4, now we're actually into the coaching hires that are really good, not just solid. We're at Joe Brady at a head coach. He's the OC for the Bills, and I like this move. We've been begging for Joe Brady to be a head coach for a while. They move on from Sean McDermott now. Joe Brady comes in. I see Jace shaking his head. Jace, what's the problem?
Oh, I mean, you ask any Bills fan, and this is like the worst day in history of their life right here. I mean, they didn't like Brady to begin with. Most Bills fans, at least that I talked to, and no, they didn't like Brady to begin with as an OC. So to promote him over, McDermott, who was successful. The Bills had success with McDermott. It wasn't necessarily all his fault. Yes, he's a defensive-minded head coach. Their defense was usually the problems at times in the playoffs, but still, I think they were doing just fine with McDermott, and they were bound to get over the hump at some point. I'm not sure if Brady gets you over that hump compared to other head coaches who have had experience in the head coaching realm.
Here's the way I see it, and I'm going to go very quickly because I got 3 other people to go over, but the way I see it is basically they keep the same system that they had, but some fresh ideas, because like you said, the team is close. If you did not win this year as the Bills, you're not going to win at all. No Mahomes, no Burrow. You had, Drake May, and that was the team. That was the team that you had to deal with, and you guys couldn't get over that hump. I think if they couldn't get over the hump this year, it was time to move on. Taking a move, look at Jesse Minter for the Ravens. Another move that I really like, a defensive-minded coach, and it's going to be, LAC had a great defense, and I like this move for the Ravens. Quickly over Kevin Stefanski at number 2. I'm a big fan of this hire just because Raheem Morris was not a very good coach. The Falcons are so good on paper, but they have a lot of holes. But to bring in a coach that I think is somewhat competent will help get them over the edge.
Yeah, I don't think the Browns firing Stefanski, I don't think Stefanski was the issue for the Browns. I think that was more a management thing. But it was time to part ways, see a different view, and I think the Falcons got the best or the second best head coach that they could get right now. A great move.
And I think we can go number 1. We all know what's going to be said. Jim Harbaugh, enough said. I don't think there's much analysts to really go on this. So we're going to look at another coach, one of the best ever, if not the best ever, Bill Belichick, not in the Hall of Fame. Jace, I ask you, what are you feeling immediately?
I'll say one word that wrote on my sheet here, unbelievable. I mean, as a Colts fan, obviously the Patriots, they were like the worst thing ever imaginable to me because they consistently beat, Peyton Manning and those squads in the playoffs. But Belichick, 6-time Super Bowl champion as a head coach. This guy built one of the best dynasties of all time. Yes, you could say he had a system with Brady and whatnot, but he still led a dynasty to 6 Super Bowl championships, 3-time Coach of the Year. This dude did everything you can imagine as a coach. One of the best coaches, if not the best coach of all time, and he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. I get the arguments, about the Spygate, the cheating scandals, whatnot, but he still deserves to be a first ballot Hall of Famer just because he won so much, that alone.
I don't like the idea of punishing him for one more year. You can either, first off, I think he's a Hall of Famer. He's 6-time as a head coach, Super Bowl winner, 8 total, fantastic. But you can't punish him for 1 year and then just put him in the Hall of Fame the next. I don't think that's a punishment. So if you want to punish him for cheating, he's not allowed to go in the Hall of Fame at all. Or you just put him in like he deserves to be in the first ballot where he deserves to go.
Yeah, and now we take the argument as well as arguably the GOAT, in my opinion, the GOAT, Tom Brady. Now he's going to be up in that conversation eventually. Are you going to punish him too? Are you going to say that Tom Brady, the best quarterback of all time, is not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer? This is building an interesting idea that they're going to punish you for 1 year, but they're still going to put you in either. Do it like baseball does, where you just either don't see the Hall of Fame because you cheated, or you put them in the Hall of Fame like they deserve to be, because you see all these players in baseball that aren't allowed to be in the Hall of Fame because of years of steroids, years of all this. And then you see Spygate, which, you take how you want to do about it. I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories or any of that stuff here. But 1 year, and you're going to take 1 year off as Hall of Fame, but you're still going to put him in. If it was that big of a deal to you to where it shouldn't be in the first place, and you're going to publicly announce that in that way, then don't put him in at all, because then you set that bad precedent that you could cheat and just go back a year. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
I think all the points there. And for him not to have received 40 of 50 votes means at least 11 voters voted for him not to make the Hall of Fame, which is just utterly insane to me because he is the best coach of all time in football. He is an advocate of the NFL. He is a huge football fanatic. He is a great football mind, the best of all time. I just don't understand how you cannot put him in the Hall of Fame at first ballot. Yes, I'll make it next year probably because they're setting what they want to think as a precedent, but it's not. It's just not going to work out the way they want this to.
Yeah, no, it's setting a bad example. I think I see the vision, but no, they went the wrong way, and I think leaving him out is not the move here. And speaking of leaving, we're about to talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo finally leaving the Bucks up next year on Grand Slam Sports.
Is Giannis finally on his way out? This has been a saga that's been trending for quite some time. Maybe it's the final saga in this, or the final chapter of this story. So Giannis, Charles, is he bound to leave Milwaukee? If so, where is he to go? He's still hurt right now. A lot of things to work through.
I certainly hope so, because as the person that picks the topics for these episodes, this is like the third time I've had to write down Giannis leaving Milwaukee. I mean, can we just make a decision for the love of all that is holy? It seems like every single week there is a new thing going on with Giannis leaving. Leave the Milwaukee Bucks. You said you wanted another star. Don't you worry. They got you Kyle Kuzma and Miles Turner. The Bucks don't care. They don't care about him whatsoever. It is time for him to go. And you have 5 teams written down. We're going to talk about them. You know, we see Golden State, Miami, New York, Toronto, and Orlando, which Orlando is kind of a stretch. I'm going to take Orlando and just throw it out of there.
That's fair.
Those 4 teams that we see right here, those are 4 teams that I think could really make a move for him. But Jackson said that he has a team that's not one of those 5s. And Jackson, I cannot wait to hear this. What team are you thinking?
How do we feel about the Timberwolves? I feel like one of their issues has been they can't get a lot of rebounds. They're not getting rebounds. An issue is they don't really have a true scoring big. They have a lot of value to give away. Julius Randle, he could go. Jaden McDaniel, he could go. Rob Dillingham needs a change of scenery. He needs to get traded. Terrence Shannon Jr., another guy who could be a starter somewhere else if he can get another chance. All of these guys plus picks. I just feel like it makes sense. The team has seen a conference championship, but not able to win it. They're right there, and I feel like getting another big, a scoring big to help with Ant, work off a pick and roll. That'd be scary.
I don't hate the shout. I don't hate the shout because Minnesota, they were in on John Morant. That's kind of fallen apart in the last few weeks. So I don't hate it because they were already in for 1 star. So why not just pivot, head to an even bigger star, and make a move for a true big? Because, I mean, who they have right now is not going to cut it for a championship, in my opinion. They have Ant. They need to pair him with a superstar. I don't hate that shout, honestly.
I don't hate it as much as I thought I would. I'll give them that much. But at the same time, it still does draw the question. You know, you could say that they were looking for a star already, but Ja Morant at point guard is very different than Giannis at power forward, because you're looking at a team that big is kind of one of the only things that they really have consistent. I mean, Julius Randle has been phenomenal. He's having one of his better years this year. Rudy Gobert is still currently, right now, Defensive Player of the Year favorite, believe it or not. You know, he can't score to save his life, but he defends better than Giannis, at least in the paint. And then you still take Naz Reid as a backup. I mean, This team is so big that I just don't see them giving up a lot. I see them giving up a lot for a true point guard. I wanted to see them give up a lot for, you know, maybe this one maybe not, but like a Trae Young. I was more on the sold on them getting Trae Young, but bringing in another big for a team that is already abnormally big for no reason, it just seems a little bit OD to me.
Boston is also in the market for a big. Hopefully a center. Charles, I know as a Boston fan, you have Queta right now. He's been okay, but you guys need a true number 5. Where are you guys looking right now?
I mean, they were looking at Ivica Zubac, which obviously everyone wants him, but they're winning now, so they're not going to trade him. The one that I've really wanted is Daniel Gafford. I've been a fan of Daniel Gafford since he got traded from the Bulls to the Mavericks. I think that is the best move because I think Gafford could really, you know, garner enough interest in bringing in the Anthony Simons. I think Anthony Simons would really help the Mavericks and what they're doing. But also, I see on your list one that I didn't really think of, but looking at Nick Claxton, a player that, you know, is stuck in purgatory in Brooklyn right now, but is a true center. As true center as it gets, there are a lot of people that don't like Claxton. I like true bigs. I like a good paint big, and I would love to have Nick Claxton on this team. You know, he may not be able to space the floor, but another name that you have that's not on here, Naz Reid. A player that's been playing backup that should be a starter for a very long time. He could space the floor. He's an LSU alum. He is a phenomenal backup big, and he could be a starter in the NBA. And I think that would be who I'd look for.
Yeah, I don't think any of those picks are wrong. I think all of them will fit well with the Celtics system. I don't think Naz Reid as well. I don't think you need a stretch 5. I think you need a true center who's going to get you rebounds, who's going to stay in the paint, who's not going to shoot as much. That's what I went from Messi from the Pelicans. He's averaging 5.8. I think he's more reliable or more easier to get to. He's cheaper, he's younger, he can be part of the future for this team instead of just a one-year rental like Anthony Simons was, what they're already trying to move on from. I like the younger way to go. So my pick is Messi, I feel, but either way, any way this team could go.
You know, for Boston, we didn't know what to expect from them this year. You know, with Noah Tatum, with the Achilles, Taylor Brown's playing at an MVP type level right now. Is Eastern Conference All-Star starter for the first time. And, you know, Boston currently sits third in what seems to be a pretty weak Eastern Conference right now. And, you know, Queta, he hasn't been bad, and the center market's actually pretty good this year at the deadline. There's a decent amount of good veteran centers that are on the market, and I like both your picks. I think Gafford would be the best one, the most available one to go out and get right now. Obviously, I think if you had your choice, you would go for Zubac, but the Clippers being on the run they are right now, I think they're going to turn from sellers to buyers. Yeah. Again, if I had to have my pick that you guys didn't choose, why not just go back for an old Celtic? Robert Williams from Portland. Send Simons back to the Trail Blazers, just do a little player swap and get Rob back in Boston.
I love Time Lord. I just want that to be known. I had a poster of him on my wall, but he is a glass cannon. I mean, that is the way it is. He's going to be explosive. He's going to be someone that provides a lot of offensive defense, but you land on him wrong, he's gone for 2 years. And that's been the biggest part. That's why they moved on from him in the first place. So I feel like it'd be kind of hard to go back on a player that's kind of been seeing his downfall over these past few years. But looking at players that have really been rising up, especially last night, the Duke Stars going head-to-head last night, and what a game between Concanipple and Cooper Flagg, Jace.
Utterly insane. I mean, Charles, you chose this topic prior to this happening, and you couldn't have timed it any better than what you did. Because Cooper Flagg dropped the most points by a teenager in a game in NBA history, 49 points, and they still lost. Lost to his teammate from last year in Duke and Concanipple. You know, the game ended with him fouling Knipple and Knipple hitting the game-winning free throws. It couldn't have ended any other way between two Duke stars. And, you know, these two guys, probably maybe two of the front runners right now for Rookie of the Year. And Knipple, this guy can shoot the lights out of the ball. He hit 8 threes in that game, and he has proven to be one of the best shooters already in the NBA. And Cooper Flagg is just getting better and better as he's gone so far.
Cooper Flagg is younger than all of us sitting here, and he is making millions of dollars, playing like one of the best players in the NBA. He's averaging 20 points a game. And, I mean, he's just been fantastic. And Knipple's only a little older than me. So these two guys are the future of this league, played in college together for one of the best Duke teams we've seen. And they sold the bag against Houston in March Madness. But, I mean, fantastic. And last night's game proved that the competition they went against each other, it was just watching two friends play basketball against each other, and it was beautiful to watch.
Number one, don't ever mention the fact that players are younger than us now, because I feel like just, no, that cannot happen. But, you know, taking a look at it, you know, Knipple, he's arguably already, you know, shooting better than Curry was on his run. I mean, if he continues his pace, which is almost impossible, but he'll beat Curry for most threes ever. And we see Cooper Flagg, you know, he has been the star of a team that has been absolutely atrocious. I mean, the Mavericks' downfall, I mean, Nico Harrison is a terrorist in Texas, okay? I mean, that's the way it has been. And, I mean, we take a look at this team. I mean, the Mavericks are so good under Cooper Flagg, and they're so close to being a solid team. They just can't get anything right. You have your young teenager drop 49 points and you don't win against the Hornets.
Hey, don't disrespect Charlie. They've been pretty good recently. The Hornets are making a run for play-in right now.
They're in the East.
Well, that also helps.
Any team is good in the East, okay?
Not the Pacers this year.
Yeah, well, the Pacers won the East last year. They lose their star player, and they're one of the worst teams in the league. That just shows you how weak the East is.
To switch back here to the Duke topic, I mean, there's 3 other picks in this draft as well. You look at Milwaukee, he's not getting much time in Phoenix, but you have guys like Zion James, Tyrese Proctor, both averaging about 5 points per game right now with Charlotte and Cleveland, respectively. They're also having pretty good minutes as well. So, I mean, Duke, their rookies are having quite a time. Right now in the NBA. But we're going to pivot, head over to the offseason in Major League Baseball. That when we come back. Let's talk some baseball. And Charles, for the 3rd time, we have the Who Should He Play For? This is part number 3 on this, because there's still 4 guys in the MLB that are available that we have some teams we think they might be a fit for? So we're starting off with the top one available. That is the pitcher Framber Valdez. Played at Houston last year, had a very good season. Top free guy, a top free agent left on the market right now. So we'll begin with Jackson. Where should Framber go?
First off, I still don't believe he should play in MLB. I just don't think the clubhouse issues, the problems off the field were too much, and he's not good enough to make up for it. But I think a team will give him a contract. I think a team is willing to take a risk on that. A team who needs pitching and who will always need pitching until eternity ends. That's the Los Angeles Angels. I just feel like he fits in that rotation pretty well.
I think you send him to a pitching-friendly ballpark in San Francisco, a team who can use another rotational arm in that starting rotation, and I think he'd be a great fit there. They always have money to spend, the Giants do. I think he'd be a good fit as one of their top guys.
I mean, for my pick, I have him going to a team that has needed pitching since pitching was invented. We take a look at the Orioles. I mean, they could use the hit because he could be a locker room cancer like you say, but he could pitch the heck out of the ball. So, I'm taking Framber going to the Orioles.
Now we'll head over to a first baseman, Luis Arias. Jackson, once again, kick us off.
And I don't think Luis Arias will ever play defense again. He has been a below-average defender, and I think he'll fit perfectly at a platoon DH spot, where he'll be with Seattle Mariners, just getting the contact. He's lost the speed. He's lost the power. He really never had it, and his defense has just been getting way and way worse.
Let's go on a team that can't get much worse. Luis Arias, I have going to the Colorado Rockies. I've had this one literally since the season has started. Since the offseason started. Colorado Rockies and Arias, that fit it works well. They lost Tolia. They need a first baseman, a budget first baseman that can hit a baseball. I'm going with the Rockies.
There's still a gap where he left San Diego. Why not go right back to the Padres, provide some extra hitting that lineup? I'd see it being a fit still with San Diego. I'm getting stares right now. I don't like it.
There's not a gap for him. They have Jake Cronenworth to play first. They signed a new utility second baseman to make sure not to re-sign him. He will not be going.
They've done everything in their power not to re-sign Luis Arias.
Okay, whatever. Zach Gallen is the next on our list, starting pitcher of the Diamondbacks last year. Charles, start us off.
This one was hard for me because finding a fit for Gallen after he had such a bad year was hard, especially not just saying the Orioles again. I like the Angels pick, but I think I'm going to go with him just staying. They still need pitching. I mean, the pitching problem hasn't gotten solved in Arizona, so I have him just staying as a Diamondback, then figuring it out later. Maybe he gets less money because he had a bad year, but I mean, the Diamondbacks, they need pitching. One side's going to get desperate enough, I could just see him staying home.
A team who has some playoff experience could use a guy like this, the Cubs. The Cubs need some playoff experience in pitching. The Cubs could use an extra rotational arm. If Gallen can play the way he can, I think he'd be a perfect fit, seamless with the Cubbies.
I think this contract is not going to be what Zach Gallen wants. It's going to be a one-year deal for maybe less than $10 million. But I'm surprised he's still a free agent right now. He had a terrible start to the year and had a decent last month or two. He's gotten better. I think we get a flyer taken by Baltimore. They need pitching. We've talked about that already. I think he goes to the Orioles.
Head to the last one now. I'll kick us off here for previously Ozuna from the Braves. I'm going to have Ozuna from the Guardians now. I think a small market team could use some power hitting. They were kind of small ball last year. They could use a guy that can provide some pop with the bat. And I think Ozuna would be a great fit alongside Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, I just don't see him fitting anywhere except for Atlanta. I don't see anybody taking a chance on him. He's aging. He had a great year 2 years ago. Last year, he was hitting about .230 and lost about 18 home runs. Every single one of his stats declined in a major way. Nobody's going to take that risk. His career is coming to an end, and it will end this year in Atlanta.
I have them going to the Pirates. The Pirates are a team that I think has finally actually opened up their pocketbooks a little bit. They're realizing that their Paul Skeens run is not going to, go the way they want it to if they don't actually spend money. So I have them ending up going to the Pirates, a team that needs some pop, a team that could use the DH because no one's leaving the ballpark, and I think that's the best way to do it, Marcell Ozuna.
Not the MLB, but it is baseball. The World Baseball Classic starts in about a month and a half, March 5th, the start date for the WBC. Guys, this is an interesting one to watch. You look back to 3 years ago, Japan took down the U.S. in the championship game. 20 national teams are in this version of the WBC. It's going to be a fun watch, and the USA building a God squad up.
We are so close to having baseball back, fellas. We are almost there, and the World Baseball Classic will be the first real taste of baseball that we're going to get. And to see this, I mean, we look at some of these teams. I mean, you look at the Dominican Republic, one of the best teams assembled. I mean, this is the Avengers. But then you take a look at Team USA; they're the new Avengers. I mean, these are both two teams that are so stacked. But you cannot forget about Japan. You cannot forget about the other top South American teams. I mean, these teams are so strong this year. I think we're going to see a lot more competition than we did the last few years, because we're seeing a lot more teams care more about it. I mean, back in the day, it wasn't as important as it has been now, because I think not only do players really want to get back into the feel of things, once the season starts to get closer, but that pride of presenting your country. I mean, you see it with the World Cup. The World Baseball Classic has continued to rise in popularity, and I think we're going to start seeing it more now, where a lot of these players are going to opt in. And we're going to see a lot more competitive baseball.
Yeah, you look at the U.S. team, you have players like Cal Raleigh, Bryce Harper at first, you're going to have Gunnar Henderson in there. It's a great team. And I think where I really like the U.S. team is their pitching. A 1-2 punch of Skeens and Skubal, that's scary. I don't know who to put 1 and who to put 2, but it's that'll be terrifying for other lineups to look at, except when you look at Puerto Rico's offense. Let me just list off some of these names. Ketel Marte, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Jose Ramirez, Manny Machado, Grodaldo Perdomo, Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez, and Fernando Tatis Jr. That's their lineup. You can't get much better than that. I don't think you can.
Yeah. Basically the all-star team right there. I mean, Charles, you kind of mentioned a little bit of the popularity aspect, and we've seen this WBC kind of become more and more popular as it's gone on these last few editions. But how do you see this kind of building the popularity of the sport just worldwide?
Yeah, I mean, the World Baseball Classic was the most full I've ever seen Miami Stadium in 2023 ever. And this was a team that was in the playoffs. And so you see, people want to go. People want to see these teams play, these players play, because like you mentioned, these are the best in the world. And who doesn't want to see Tariq Skubal go and pitch against a team that, like Great Britain, and just absolutely just annihilate them? I mean, that's fun, okay? That like atomic bomb versus baby, it's fun. Everyone likes to see that, and I think that's what we're going to get to see more of, is in the good matchups, they're going to be fun. The bad matchups, they're going to be fun as well.
100% agree. I definitely, like you mentioned, Great Britain. Who's going to be on that Great Britain team? I could not name you one player. And then you also look at some of the other people in the United States group. They have Italy in there, which will have Vinny Pasquantino and friends. And it'll have Brazil in there. I don't know. And it'll have Mexico in there. Those games will be still fun to watch, always entertaining, and keep on going through, no matter who's playing who.
We pivot things now back to the MLB side of things in the offseason. And, we always talk about small market teams. They don't have as much success in the MLB because of how the money works and the cap space stuff works. But we all chose a small market team that we thought had great success this offseason, trying to build up their market and just spend what money they have available. So first off, we will start things once again with Jackson, with your small market team.
Yeah, so small market teams, what they're going to do is they're not going to sign the big free agents, not going to sign the pretty names. They're getting those smaller guys who are still going to be quality minutes for smaller contracts. And I picked the Diamondbacks. I think they've done exactly that. They trade for Nolan Arenado, who can be a veteran presence and a defensive help, and take Eugenio Suarez and replace that. And then I like what they did in the pitching. They re-signed Merrill Kelly, who's been fantastic. He was an all-star last year. He'll continue to be at that level, I think. And they found some depth. Michael Soroka, who's had good years, who has been decent, and then Taylor Clark, who has also had some fine time. He will definitely be a good bullpen piece.
For my team, I saw a team who had success 2 years ago, was, the best overall team in the AL. This year, they were expected to be one of the top teams in the MLB. They didn't really see much success, went 75 and 87 with a lot of youth talent. And now they signed some veterans. They get some pitchers. They signed Pete Alonso to a ginormous contract. And they get some pitchers like Andrew Kittredge. They trade for Taylor Ward from the Angels. They get Ryan Helsley. I mean, it's a really good team now in Baltimore. I think the Orioles had great success this offseason. They spent what money they could, and they made a big splash for Pete Alonso. And for Baltimore, they needed an overhaul from last year's roster because it just didn't see much success. I look at the lineup right now. You still have Gunnar Henderson. You still have, those top guys. You have Colton Kazler as well in the 8-hole. Pete Alonso joining that with the power. I think Baltimore has a really good team coming up this season.
Yeah, I mean, and you take a look at this Orioles team. This is an Orioles team that, like you said, they needed that big splash. Pete Alonso was a shock to many of us, and what a move it was for them. So I like that move for them. My team that I've been a really fan of on what they've been doing this season is the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is a team that we talked about needing to open up the pocketbook a little bit because, you know, you have the best pitcher in baseball. You have Bubba Chandler, the number 2 prospect in baseball, number 2 pitching prospect in baseball. And you see this team, you need to build an offense around them. They bring in Brandon Lau, which I think was a great move. They bring in Ryan O'Hearn, who hit very solid at one point for the Padres. And so you see these players getting brought in. I think the Pirates are building something. It's not necessarily shiny, but in an NL Central that's a little bit weaker and a little bit more open than it has been in years past, I think the Pirates have built a team that could make some noise.
You know, for the Pirates, you have the pitcher, the stature of Paul Skeens. You want to keep him. Because the last thing you want to do is have the old Pirates thing. You have a top guy, you got to get rid of him in 3 years because he doesn't want to be in there anymore. His contract runs out when he goes to a top team. So the Pirates, they had to make some kind of moves to try to keep Paul Skeens there. We'll see if it does work out. That'll do it for today's edition of Grand Slam Sports. Charles Motter, Jackson Strasburger. My name is Jay Saj.